Hello, welcome to Node Spaghetti live. I think I need to adjust my camera. uh, so it turns out that streaming on the weekends is not something I'm gonna even think about doing. I did get a lot of cool work done on my add-on, which hopefully I'll be able to show at some point. Um, but today we're gonna work on Sculpt January 2022. Now I skipped more days than I meant to. I was gonna skip Saturday because I didn't like the prompt, but I didn't mean to skip Sunday, so I'm gonna try to make that up at some point. I just got a notification from my own stream. Uh, Shut up, phone. Uh, but I think I'm gonna try to stick with today's prompt, and then I'll do yesterday's if I have time for it. At some point. So, without further ado, let's do armor. Now, haven't thought very much about what I'm gonna do for armor. Feel like it's a bit difficult because it could be something that's hard to do. Could be something that's kind of easy to do. And I feel like I might need to look up some reference images. That's why I'm looking at my phone right now, is because I feel like I took some pictures of some old Spanish armor recently, but I don't see it. Um, there's a museum here in Central Florida that's got a whole bunch of uh like 16th, 17th century Spanish stuff because that's when they started colonizing the New World, and they built the oldest European city in North America. At least as far as I know. So anyhow, um, I did take a bunch of pictures of their stuff, but it doesn't look like I have any pictures of their armor. So no dice on that today. That does make me think. What kind of armor? Uh, Switch to my other screen. What kind of armor? Gladiator. What kind of armor did people wear that's not like the typical kind of armor that you immediately think of? Guess gladiator armor something. Then on strict because I'm on stream. A lot of this stuff isn't historically accurate. That's disappointing. Gladiators had very specific armor that they were allowed to wear, which was part of the appeal of the horrible, brutal, gruesome blood sports. How about a Zulu warrior? These guys had big, fancy shields. I don't know if that counts as armor because they didn't wear it. And they wore those awesome boots too. Again, I'm not sure if that counts as armor. Let's have a look at. Let's think. I mean, of course, there's medieval scale mail, but that's a little bit too easy, right? Oh, I'm not thinking. I was thinking of plate mail. Actually, scale mail is pretty neat. In fact, I wouldn't. If I was gonna do scale mail, I would do like Syrian stuff's ancient. It's time for me to switch my Russian Doomer music. By the way, Note Spaghetti recommends recommended music today is whatever that song is called by some Russian band called Pashosh, which apparently means passport in Macedonian, but not in Russian. Uh, Good stuff. I recommend you try it out. Assyrians had those really cool pointy hats. Let's look that up. Assyrian pointy hat. Can't spell. Maybe I should say helmet. There we go. See, look, they're pointy, right? Can you imagine going out into battle and all the people that you're like thousands of people lined up along all of the thousands of miles of enemy land, and they're all wearing cones on their head. uh, Now here's an interesting one. Uh, the Babylonian deity Humbaba wore the tablets of destiny on his chest as plate mail while fighting Marduk, the the Babylonian's greatest god figure. Doesn't look like there's any good pictures of it though. It's unfortunate. Uh, Breastplate. Feel very indecisive about this today. I think the Assyrian pointy hat is the winner. Um, why don't I do one more? Oh, here's one. There was some really impressive artifacts discovered at Sutton Hoo in the United Kingdom, including these wonderful filigreed helmets. I think there was only one of them. Uh, if I recall correctly, the Sutton Hoo burial was a uh, was a barrow, like an artificial hill, with a ship inside of it, um, that had just ridiculously wonderful treasures inside. It was probably a king or something. Yeah, see, there's the ship. Um, and this uh helmet was found there. Now, I don't think I can do all of the fancy filigree patterns at this time because that would take forever. These right here are shoulder uh pauldrons, or no, that's they're called fibula, I think, and they were like a clasp that went on your shoulder, if I remember correctly. Uh, I like this one, but that kind of detail is probably more than I'm willing to do without using a texture to do it. Hmm. Let's look at ancient Chinese armor. Or they were made of terracotta, weren't they? Um, these guys had really interesting scale mail armor. I'm gonna go for the Assyrian helmet. Nothing funnier than a Tin Man like funnel on his head type helmet. I guess I don't need to do much design work for that. I can just hop right into Blender. Um, so let's see. Save this to today's the 10th. Whoops, I need to make a folder. So let's start with the cone. Mostly because that's funny, not because it's useful. It's kind of a pain to add loops to the cone. Let's see. The image in the reference looks almost like he's just wearing a funnel on his head. So I think I'm actually going to make this into a funnel. And since that's a little too simple, and this is Sculpt January, I think I'm gonna start from a sphere then instead. Just to keep it fair, you know. Don't want to make it too easy on me, you know. I had meant to do a short demonstration on Saturday of some add-on programming stuff for Blender, but I didn't do that because I got distracted by what I think is a fairly interesting side project. Why am I not using the box mask? There we go. So I have been working on an add-on that uses nodes, and oh gosh, oh my. And node systems are actually really hard to add to Blender's in Blender's Python API. They're just kind of majorly a pain to deal with. And especially because of the way that I'm doing my add-on, I've got to basically add boilerplate to multiple places in my add-on in order to get even one node to show up. And if I don't add code to several files, then it just won't work. It'll just fail, right? So what I did on Saturday was I could have done it in Python. It would have been a lot easier. It would have taken a lot less time. But I wanted to do it in Bash because I've never done much Bash scripting. And the more I need to do it at work, the more I realize, wow, this is super useful. Oh gosh, oh, what have I just done? Oh, that's what I did. It's super useful. You can do all kinds of stuff with it, but it is very hard to understand. And it's hard to understand because it's essentially a whole bunch of different programs that have no common design principle. And you're trying to use them all to do, what am I doing here? You're trying to use them all together, but they were not designed by the same people. So it can be really a big challenge to get them to make sense as one thing. Especially for someone like me who's used to writing Python, which is comparatively a very easy language to use. But the thing is, if you always do what's comfortable, you never grow any, right? You never get any better. And I wonder if I can put a text on screen that says what I'm doing here. Stage prompt, just in case anybody didn't hear me. Funnel on top of 10 man's head. Maybe I can make this smaller. That's kind of ugly. I could probably come up with something better than a terminal window, but I'm not gonna do that. Anyways, if you always keep doing what you're used to, you'll never grow. You'll never be any good. And gosh, why does this keep happening? And in my opinion, it's very important to keep challenging myself. Blob. Let's actually remesh this. Make it real small. And actually, before I remesh it, why don't I smooth it out a bit, huh? So I decided to write a bash script instead of a Python script to add the boilerplate code, the class definitions, the various places where I basically said the same thing in multiple parts of my program. I wrote a program to do that for me so that I could more rapidly add new pieces to my add-on, new nodes. And it was a lot of fun because just because I learned a lot of stuff doing it. And it's funny because my add-on, it's kind of a secret right now, so I'm not going to spoil it too much to the whole internet. But essentially, what it's for is to help me write. It's like a node system for generating scripts. So I wrote a script to write a script which generates Python scripts. Pretty good time. Same thing inside. There we go. Now, if I crease this, yeah, this, oh gosh, crease it. Shift-E, not Control-E. Control-E calls up the menu, silly face. Dummy head. Crease this also. I'm gonna bevel it too. So it looks like this one's gonna end up being kind of easy. So I think I am going to, oh, the inside. So I think I am going to, hopefully I'll have time to do tomorrow's, or yesterday's. Yeah, yesterday's. Okay, yeah, because really all that needs to be done here is to make this a finished funnel. Is I need to remesh it. Come on, Blender. Is it done now? Are you done now? Oh, come on, Blender. Why you gotta be so slow? A lot of these old Assyrian helmets have all kinds of interesting little designs on them. So I think I'll try to put one of those on the helmet. And maybe I'll give it those little ear defendy things if I feel like it, which I don't really. Wow, Blender is really going slow for me. Why are you doing this to me, Blender? I've run out of RAM. Or almost run out of RAM. Huh. Well, that's concerning. Eh. Blender. Are you back, Blender? No. Okay. Pretty sure I said something the other day about don't set the level too low. I just set the level too low. Okay. I think that that's enough, now that I look at it. So this is going slower than it should. Maybe I'll quit out of Krita. Oh, I just didn't do the edit mode command. Uh, so yeah, they had little guards in the side of their heads. I don't know how much I was supposed to do just from like a default sphere type thing. But I don't know how much. I don't know how much I've done that either. I suppose it's okay not to. Supply that. Sometimes it's just easier to model stuff than it is to sculpt it. Radial. I think the main goal of this is just to have fun and keep it lighthearted and easy, right? So maybe I'm thinking too hard. Especially since I did want to do yesterday's today because I missed it. Perhaps stuff like this is easier to do, but also perhaps not. I don't really think it looks all that good now that I'm doing it. Stuff was kind of old, beat up by the time any modern people got a chance to see any of it. So I wasn't intending to make it look new at all. I want it to look kind of busted, you know. I also want it to look silly because it's, you know, it's a funnel. Um, wonder how the cloth brush will look if I... That was a bad choice. I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe the snake hook brush is what I want. There we go. That's a little bit easier to work with. I usually use the snake hook brush for like creating new like limbs, basically. But sometimes it's the perfect tool for these kinds of grabs. Ah. Scrape brush for me, please. Scrape. Let's scrape. 6. All right. Back. It should be, and now I'm just gonna smooth it just a little bit, but draw sharp, please. Do a lot of these guys have something like a sun rays pattern or something on their forehead. There's like a bird or something inside of that. Some of them are a bit more complex, for that matter. Hmm. It's not quite the... There we go. That was a bit more even. Now, what do we know about ancient people? We know that they got visited by aliens. So here on the inside, we're going to draw a little alien man with wings and antenna. This is historically accurate, or at least it probably is. It's about as historically accurate as them putting functional kitchen funnels on their head. Which reminds me that I need my scrape brush. Maybe someday I'll learn where the brushes are without having to search through the menu for hours at a time. One can only dream. Time to scuff it up a little bit, make it look a little bit less than new. We don't want symmetry for this. Oops. You know, maybe he was on the wrong end of a Sumerian club or something. Okay. I'm happy enough with this. We're going to do... we're gonna go do some Vertex Paint. We're going to give it some dirty Vertex colors. And there you go. It's gonna take a little while because there's a lot of vertices. Set that to like 90. There we go. That's a little bit too much. Let's go back to 138 degrees. Good enough. In our shading, first of all, it's metallic, but it's not very metallic. So we're gonna plunk in some specularity. Because the parts that are like patinaed or whatever might switch to a specular look. Who knows? And it smooths, add a vertex color. You know what? I'm kind of getting sleepy. What's up with that? Am I finally old? I just didn't get enough sleep last night. I was too busy not getting much of anything done. Even think about sleeping. Now, I know what you're thinking. Bronze isn't green, or copper isn't green unless it's corroded, and this is too silly. So that's why I'm going to add a noise texture. And a color ramp. Give it a bit more roughness, give it a little more detail, should be fine. Gonna plonk that into the green. Just like that. Easy peasy. We can layer a few of these. Maybe mixing them is good enough. Usually I do something more interesting, like multiplying it or doing an overlay or something, but I think mixing might work. Lifts some areas, it pushes some areas down. I don't feel like being too fancy with this, you know? You don't want to spend the whole night watching my GPU be slow when compiling shaders anyways. That's no fun. Let's screen it with this. And finally, let's add a bump node. It's a bit too much, isn't it? Now, to really sell the look, we need to finish it by giving it an isotropic reflections. Why am I not in cycles? Doesn't work in Eevee. That. And we need to give it a tangent. So we're going to use Radial Z. And I'm not really loving that. Is it too rough? Is it too ugly? There we go, a bit more of that. I want it to look, I want it to look kind of like kitchenware. Because that's what it is, right? The funnel. An ancient improvised weapon or armor made out of funnel. I don't really feel like doing anything more for this, so save this as armor, call it a day for this one. But I didn't do yesterday, so guess I'll do that one. I still have time. It's only been what, 30 minutes? Uh, yeah, it's been about 30 minutes. I still have plenty of time. Kind of feeling sleepy tonight. This one is Cursed Doll. Now I feel like I do need to do some design for this one, so let's open up Krita. I think I'm gonna do a different picture in my terminal every day if I can stand to do that much work. um, Pretty much all of my time is spent writing tools so that I don't have to work. And it's funny because I spend more of my time writing tools to do my work for me than I actually spend doing my work. And it doesn't save it doesn't end up saving me any work. Tonight I'm drinking Sauvignon Blanc, which I bought to cook fish in, but I had leftover pizza. So I'm not drinking any tonight. Or I am you know what I mean. Gotta do a first doll today. You know, the first thing that I think of is switch to my reference image screen. First thing I think of is I think his name is Mojo and Chrono Cross. Not quite old enough to know anything about this game. This is the first thing I think of. He's a voodoo doll. When he like lost his friend or something, or his brother. I don't really remember his deal, but that's the first thing I think of. Second thing I think of is there was a I forgot what her name is. I remember what she looks like. She's got a doll. Woman. I know the professional wrestler friends out there are probably laughing at me for not remembering. She's a current WWE wrestler. Uh, she's like, oh gosh, even with safe search, she's like kind of goth. Uh, Wrestler with weird doll. Is it safe to be searching this? I don't see her. Give me a second to look for this. What is her name? I can list off a whole bunch of people I know it's not. Doesn't really help, does it? Anyways, I think it would be fun to do a version of that doll, but as I can't find it, that won't be much good, will it? So I think I'll draw something. Gosh, and that was like just a month or two ago that was the like featured thing. I don't follow wrestling very closely, but I've got a friend that's super into it. Sometimes I watch it when I hang out with him. It's a good time. We've never seen any like professional wrestling WWE stuff. At first you think, oh, that's stupid. It's just a bunch of muscly people fighting each other. Then you see an episode of like a pay-per-view or whatever, and the whole time it's just a bunch of muscly people fighting each other, and it's completely awesome. Uh, let's see. So time to draw. Does this look too much like Little Big Planet? I guess with a doll, you can do all kinds of different things. I mean, it's easy to think of like a straw doll that's homemade. You know, stitched together at the arms and legs, like buttons, uh, like buttons, you know, for the eyes. Something like that, you know. Maybe give it some spooky energy. Gotta have some spooky energy, right? You know, it could be a little bit more adventurous than that. We could go for like human-like features, right? Top lip should be kind of darker. I guess it is cursed doll, so I can give her bright red, scary looking eyes, maybe. Some deep purple in there. The fun thing about dolls, though, is all the different things they can wear. I'm sure that's true for people who make them as well as people who play with them. I wouldn't know, I've never done either. Um, but that might be where the creative part of this is. You know, finding something gonna need to that. I think I was doing pixel art one day and I set the transform tool to nearest neighbor. Not look good when you're doing this kind of artwork. I think I also recently set this to have a radius for some reason. Oh my gosh. There we go. I think I'll be able to sculpt this and make it look better, but you know, that ain't the main point of any of this. Really, or something like that. With petticoats. Maximum fanciness. Uh, Probably would have bright red slippers. If I was a cursed doll, I would probably have bright red slippers on. See, this Mojo thing, has the nail going through him because he's a voodoo doll. But I don't like creepy things. I think creepy is gross. I think creepy is bad. I like things that are nice, happy. So I don't really want to do something cruel. Today I've spent most of my time puzzling over design details, huh? I don't really want to do anything cruel to this poor little doll. It's easier to be mean to one of these straw, like, faceless things that are hard to have empathy for it, you know? Why would a doll be cursed? I mean, the first thing you think of is that Twilight Zone episode where it's just like a horrible demon inside of it. Or maybe there's like a ghost. Um, Something else that you might see is those like department store mannequins, right? Um, like the idea of doing a department store mannequin. But how do I make it obvious that it's a cursed mannequin? Mannequin counts as a doll, right? I think so. Let's get a new layer. Actually use it as a background this time. And it's key. There we go. You have to have numlock on for it to be any use, but on Krita you can control the canvas with the number keys. I guess I could use the numbers at the top of my keyboard, but I never do that in Blender. Why would I do it in Krita? That doesn't quite look human-like. But it's supposed to be creepy, so we're going to go with it. Um, you know what? What am I doing? I have tools for this. Oh gosh, oh my. I've got symmetry tools for a reason. Use that good old-fashioned Loomis method. Like that. There we go. Give it a big creepy smile. Nah. Not really sure how to make this look cursed is all. There was a really great episode of Twilight Zone. Just about 50 or 70 years old, something like that. So I guess it's probably not a spoiler. There's a really great episode of Twilight Zone where, like, gosh, was it Twilight Zone? But I'm pretty sure the premise of the episode is there's this woman going all up and down a department store trying to find some kind of item that she really needs. And she's got some like hazy memories or something. Anyways, at the end, it turns out that she's one of the mannequin dolls, and it was her turn to be alive that day. And they only get to be alive like once a year or something. What the heck? Did my Krita crash? Krita! Whatever, I'm going right into Blender. Who needs to draw a design? Not this guy. Let's try this. Let's do this. Rapid fire blockout time. To block this out before I can really sculpt it very much. Just to get the basic shape. How I always do it. Oh goodness, oh gosh, oh my. That. I feel like a creepy doll is a little bit of an unfair prompt because it's just so overdone. You know, it's hard to make it interesting in a way that doesn't feel a little bit like a little bit like a creative cop out. Maybe that does make it fun because you don't have to think very hard or try very hard to make it work. But I don't know. It feels to me like it's just a little too easy. Front part there. Extend it. Go. Feet. Arms, ain't ya? Maybe those legs are a little bit long. Then again, it is a mannequin, right? Kind of okay if it's got weird anatomy, especially since it's supposed to be cursed. Sorry, a bit long. They're a bit short. Make up your mind, Joseph. Leave this guy. Make that meet in the middle, actually. Join. Not look so stupid. There we go. Should probably do that in symmetry, shouldn't I? Better yet, I should have done it before symmetrizing it. Whatever. This isn't very good, but it's probably good enough. Uh, all that forward. Too long on this. I like working on character models, character art, so I might be happy to spend more time on this one because it's basically a human, right? Um, uh, yeah, need to have much detail here. Oh gosh. Uh, that's part of the problem is that it makes it look like the shoulders are too square. And I think the torso is just too wide. There we go. That's okay if it's got like hips, I guess. Something about this just doesn't quite work yet. Go. I feel like I'm kind of doing a bad job of being talkative and entertaining tonight, but it's Monday. What you gonna do, right? Spend all day thinking, all day working, all day, you know, being spending my energy and trying to be smart, trying to pretend I'm smart in front of other people. Um, something I'm pretty darn good at doing. Uh, itself is pretty small, which a small head works for a mannequin, right? But not so much for a doll. Neck way too long, way too long. something I can work with. No, I think it's cursed because it's one of those mannequins that comes alive. Maybe it's tired of being put in the front of the store, having to endure the scorn of all the passersby. Maybe it's sick of being put in the on the inside of the store in the back in a corner somewhere where nobody ever sees it, and all of the chic, fashionable clothing it is displaying. So it gets angry and decides to declare war on its owners. Not really sure yet. Uh, feel like it's too short to be a mannequin. I'm gonna make its head smaller again. Cool. All right, so we're gonna remesh this. We're gonna go into Dentopo. Step one is gonna be fixing these ugly shapes. Scrape brush. Not gonna go into too much detail, especially not until we're happy with the silhouette from a few different angles. Always focus on the silhouette when you're sculpting. Never sculpt an orthographic. You know, always look from different angles. Focus on the silhouette first. I think if you're going to do a lot of sculpting, it helps to be good at drawing too. I don't know if I can really explain why with words. I mean, some really good sculptors don't know how to draw, probably. Although I don't know if I don't know if I believe that. I've heard people say that. Maybe one of you can point me to an example. Kind of feel like everyone should know how to draw. One of those things that we could really get away from with teaching people how to do in school, you know? If only. Uh, I had a few good drawing classes, or a good drawing class in university. High school art classes are, of course, mostly babysitting for the students that don't want to take another math class. And that wasn't entirely false for me either. Uh, you know, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that going on in my life, especially taking that ceramics class in my last semester. I was mostly just trying to have an easy time, but I feel like I learned a lot, even despite that. You know, I had a good teacher, and I spent my time working hard. You know, uh, feels like a shame to be spending this much attention on getting the shape of the figure correct, considering I'm gonna chop it up into pieces real soon. Maybe that's why she's cursed. Is she's tired of being broken up into a whole bunch of chunks and wants to be one continuous body. but it is not to be. You're made of plastic. Um, I think it's important when you're working on a sculpt of anything that's like a character. I think I already said this, but you wanna continuously go over the whole form much as you can and try to avoid focusing too much in one area prematurely. Uh, and in this case, I really have no reason to get too detailed, because these things are meant to be mass-produced. So they're not really like they're not really carefully modeled like an ancient Roman sculpture would be, or like a sculpture that's meant to be exhibited in a museum, you know, kind of generic in their detail level. Faces they put on these things are not like real people's faces. They're just kind of face shaped so that you can put a hat on it and it still works, or a scarf around its neck, you know. It's more like flat spatula shape here. Looks a little bit too much like a Dr. Seuss character now. I do not want this to look like socks, you know. Flat. That will solve our problem. Oh my goodness. Let's front faces only, shall we? Fill that in. Oh gosh. Button. Faces only, okay. There we go. Cool. Part of the problem is that this is way too low. People tend to not have feet that are that flat, kind of triangle shaped. Same goes true for cursed mannequins, right? I'm doing yesterday's cursed doll today because I didn't do it yesterday. And give it an arch, you know. So I think that was kind of fine how it was. Especially on female figures, you make the ankles kind of narrow. Mannequins tend to be pretty idealized in their proportions. Side doesn't really have as much of an arch. More on the inside. I tend to talk under my breath a lot when I'm working and concentrating. I don't even know if it's audible over my microphone. I think I set it to be pretty sensitive, but I don't think I set it to be that sensitive. um, Part of the trouble is how far over it goes. Should be more even. Go. Definitely too wide there. As I was just saying, the ankles tend to be pretty thin. And mannequins tend to be pretty idolized. That's a bit too much skinniness, though. That's a bit too much. Cool. Arms really can just be noodles. What I'm going to do here. Get the edge of this. Don't I do this? There we go. You can alt and then, oh, I didn't turn on my shortcut viewer today, sorry. You can alt in the middle mouse click to change your orbit to be around something where you click. But looks like when you do this little boundary viewer thing, it doesn't occlude the things that are invisible. So you can still like click on them with the alt middle mouse click and it'll. That's a bit annoying, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not the kind of thing that I'd bother writing a bug report over. Because who's going to spend their time fixing something so small, you know? Maybe Pablo DeBarro is, but like all of us want him to work on bigger and better things. Instead of little pet peeves like that, you know? I don't know. I think I found a bug today in Blender that I noticed while working on my add-on, which is a node add-on. And it's a secret. I will tell y'all eventually, but not quite ready for it, you know? I want to get it working. I want to get it good before I unleash it upon the world. It's not because I'm being stingy here. It's just because I want it to be done right, and I just need time to do it. And I'm actually pretty close to the point where I'm ready to show people. Just a few more weeks of work, I think. Maybe a month or two. I've already been working on it for several months, you know. Anyways, it's a node modifier, and you know, Blender add-ons are all open source software, on the GPL version 2 license. Because they make use of Blender, and Blender's doing most of the actual computation. Blender is free software. So I copied a function from another add-on to handle like some specific thing in my node group. It was one of the first things I did when prototyping the whole thing. Because I had no idea what I was doing at that point, right? So I thought I'll just look at what other people did and copy them. And so I did that, and I noticed that that part of my add-on stopped working in Blender 3.0. As we all know, Blender 3.0 made a whole bunch of additions to the node, to the geometry nodes. But it's still pretty weird for, it was the group nodes that stopped working in my add-on. Pretty weird. Especially since it worked in 2.93, or whatever the most recent version is. I think that was it. So, I alerted the people for the add-on that I was borrowing code from, and I wrote a post about it on the developer forum. I don't think anybody's seen it yet. I might write a bug report since I did some investigation on my own, and I have no idea what's causing it. Basically what happens is now when you have a custom node group and you try to connect a group input or output to a custom node socket, it just won't go. I don't know if there's something I need to do to my node socket class to make it usable, but it just won't go. Oh goodness, those are too big. There is a solution. Hold on. It's shift control rotates. 2 joints. How do I set that? Oh, I guess I can't always do that, can I? Still a little bit longer than it should be. Guess what I can do is I can do that. Oops. And scale it a little bit. Oh goodness. Oh my. Let's expand the mask a little bit. And let's do the opposite now. Let's shrink the mask. Make it even on the shoulders there, see? And let's smooth it. Smooth it, okay. So, oh. There we go. Might be a little bit short now. Might not be. I have a tendency to make arms a little bit too short, but I tend to model in A pose or T pose, you know. And I guess everybody does A pose and T pose, but I'm not really doing that here. It's a lot harder to judge the length of the arms if they're like way up here, you know. Hold on, I've got a meme for this. I found this earlier. It made me laugh. T-pose, right? um, oh, you probably didn't even see that. Whatever. I don't care. We have some fun here. That's a bit too much. Jeez, oh man. Mannequin would probably even put the thumb in there with the fingers and combine it all into one shape. Maybe I should try to do that. Gosh. Really is cursed when you do it like that, huh? This was made out of clay, it'd be a lot easier to do the shaping here. It's not made out of anything except data. Can't touch data. Cool. That's enough detail there. Now let's give her a face. This is the scary part. We're going to find out if I actually have any talent as a sculptor here. Start by scraping things until they're more human shaped. And chubby cheeks on this one, huh? Probably don't want that. That's stupid. That looks dumb. Uh, it's not flat enough. Oh, that's pretty horrifying. Maybe I can make it look cursed by just doing a terrible job on the artwork, you know? detail than we need. How about some eye sockets? Guaranteed to look creepy, especially if you give them a uniform depth like that. That's not really correct. Oops. Trying to be super detailed, like I said. I just want it to be recognizably human-like. Just kind of the same goal as a mannequin sculptor in a department store or whatever. They're not aiming for likeness for a specific person. They're just trying to sell clothes, you know. But they're not trying to get for anything too fancy. Neither am I. Thing about sculpting is I feel like the process guaranteed to look pretty terrible. But if you stick with it, it'll eventually be good, you know? Just trying to work on these really short timescales. You know, because I've got things I need to do. I don't want to spend all night on this, but might have to if I want it to look halfway decent. Sculpting is vexing too, because it's one of the few things that I have to do a lot of the time, but I have no way of automating it. I had to do it as a person, you know? Can't make my computer do it for me. And I don't know if I'd be happy if you could make the computer do it for you, because then, you know, what value would it have? Everyone would be a great sculptor. But I kind of tend to be good at making my computer do the work, even in places where other people are just doing it themselves. So stuff like this, on the one hand, is kind of a fun break from that. It's a lot more creative, a lot more right brain, you know. On the other hand, not exactly play into my strengths. Hey. Song stop, stupid Google. Oh gosh, oh my. At this point, we need to try to make these shapes a bit more believable. I actually don't think I'm all that bad at sculpting human characters. You know, you spend enough time memorizing anatomy books and you can pretty much draw and sculpt people. Doesn't hurt if you spend all your time looking at people too, which if you're a person, then you kind of end up doing that, you know? Because they're everywhere. Building up that mental library of reference is very useful. But you don't need to look through, oh hey Vars, thank you. I'm redoing, I mean, I didn't do Cursed Doll yesterday because I decided to work on my own thing. So I'm doing it today. I already did armor, which was a, I did like, you know those old Assyrian cone-shaped hats? I did one of those, except it was a funnel. Really simple, and I think it turned out okay. But yeah, I think I'm okay at doing people. In this case, what I'm trying to get, and I think I'll succeed at this. What I'm trying to go for is one of those department store mannequins where it's shaped like a person, but it doesn't really look like any specific person. It just kind of looks human shaped. And it's going to need a lot of work. People's mouths are pretty round. Kind of go backward like that. Now it's going up, so it looks like a smile. But that isn't my goal. Something that I tend to do in the characters that I design is over-exaggerate the shape of the septum here. Just something that I tend to do. Oh, I wasn't talking about a fez. That's a Persian hat. That's the kind of hat that they put on the dancing monkeys that dance for alms or whatever, you know, like street performers, like Aladdin had, right? I mean, you can go back if you want to see it. This looks a bit too masculine. But like their warriors wore they looked like fezzes, but they were made out of bronze. And I thought it was funny because they looked like the funnel that the Tin Man was wearing on top of his head. So that's what I did for armor. That's number 10. Look like you're smiling. It's creeping me out. I mean, you're supposed to be creepy, but not yet. Doing that next. I think a mannequin counts as a doll, right? So I just need to find a way to make it look cursed. And if I just leave it without eyes, that might be good enough. You know? um, yeah, yesterday was cursed doll. I didn't do it yesterday. Told myself I'd spend all day working on my add-on. I didn't do that. I logged on to blender.chat to ask some questions that I didn't think I'd get an answer to, and I didn't get any answers to them. And I stayed and helped a couple of people with their problems. And I never really got to my own thing. That looks awful. Let's fix that. Nose too pointy. Mind the mouth being kind of forwardy. I recently purchased Kent Trammell's Human series, which is a when I was starting Blender years ago, like 8 or 9 years ago, not that long ago, 6 or 7 years ago, Kent Trammell had a tutorial on making realistic humans with Blender internal, and they were good, but they weren't like Hollywood, you know. But this one that he did recently, you can tell he has been working hard at it, because it's like as good as stuff they're putting in feature films, and so I've been trying to do something like that as one of my side projects I'm doing in my free time. And eventually I'll be able to show that to people. I can't do that just yet. Because I'm not done with it, you know. One of those people, I don't like to show my work until I'm finished. That's why this Sculpt January is a good thing, because it kind of forces you to get out of that. Be comfortable with letting people see your process, your mistakes, you know. And it's a good thing to be comfortable with that. Because if you're an artist that doesn't make any mistakes, then you're also an artist that doesn't make any art. Right? I don't want that. You don't want that. Oh my. I don't want a lot of detail right now. But also don't really want to nuke the details I have that are worth having. um, let's add some more here. Generally, if you want a face to look younger and cuter, you make the cheeks a little bit puffier, a little bit fatter, you know. If it's just the cheeks that are fat, then it looks youthful. But if you add like fattiness to the other parts of the face, then it looks well, it looks fat. And it's the youthfulness you're going for if you want a face to look cute. Which I don't necessarily want. I just kind of want it to look like something you'd see in a department store. So what I'm going for is generic person, but mannequins tend to be pretty idealized. You know, they try to make them look attractive. Uh, oh gosh. Subdivide. Oh gosh. A little bit too much power. Oh goodness. Got a little bit too much power with the snake hook brush. Easy to drastically change things very quickly. Ah, that's what's going wrong here. The head is not quite round correctly. So it makes it look like the eyes poke out a little bit when it should be the cheekbones that are pokey. Okay. But you know what? I feel like mannequins usually look more realistic than this, even if they don't have much more detail. So I think I need to work on the proportions a bit more. But I don't need to do that just yet. I can wait till the next portion kind of finished. I want to do another pass over the body. Um, Posture's a bit too rigid. So again, I don't want to go into too much detail anywhere, because I need to get to the part where this is a cursed mannequin, or else I've completely failed to do the thing that I've set out to do. I don't want to be up until 3 a.m. And I'm going to finish the movie I started last night and got too sleepy to finish. Going to do that. I've decided on it. Don't usually watch movies because I can't finish them. So I'm going to finish this one. It's terrible. Let's, I don't want to go into too much detail here on YouTube. And again, if I go into too much detail here and make this the thumbnail, I'll probably get a lot of clicks on the video. But I'm not one of those do anything for clicks kind of guys. On account of the fact that the clicks mean nothing to me. I don't even know if I intend to monetize the channel on YouTube. I don't want Google making money off of me, you know? I mean, I think they put ads on small channels like mine these days, even without giving me any money. Which is, you know, pretty awful as it is. But, you know, even if I were to profit off of it, I'm just not interested in making Google money. They've got enough money. So I like to lay out where the rib cage is. But on this mannequin, I think she's cut up into several pieces. This is where one of them is. You know, how unfortunate to be cut up into pieces like this. Well, maybe this whole time I've been thinking about one of those artist mannequins. Little wooden ones you put on your desk. I used to have one of those. Never used it because they're kind of worse than useless. Maybe that's where I should go with this. This works. This is why I didn't want to go into too much detail, is because there's no point in trying to make it look like a human if you're going to chop it up into pieces. And it should look a little bit bad if it's just like a department store mannequin. No, I'm pretty sure in reality the arms are like detachable, so maybe I won't do that here. I think they just chop them off at the shoulder and replace them when they need to add a new one. That's a weird looking silhouette. Let's fix that. Oh gosh, there goes your ears. Even the biggest of brains don't have that shape going on. I should know. I've got a very big brain. Gosh. Uh, well, that looks pretty messed up. Maybe I should make it look more messed up. Maybe I should maybe that's what I should go for. Again, I think the hips downward is usually detachable on these, but I don't care. All right. Mannequins are they usually have some kind of hair like sculpted into their heads. Ooh, I think I need you to have a neck. Need to cut a neck out of your head. That looks too thick. Now it looks like it's one of those braces that injured people wear. Too thick or too long? It's too long. Shrink the mask. Smooth the mask. Gosh. At this point, I'm kind of starting to lose interest. Never really had a very strong vision for this. I just didn't want to do something too obvious. Maybe I should have gone with something obvious, even if it means I'm not being very creative. Okay, let's add a very simple regify reg. I don't want to spend much time on this at all. In fact, even this much time spent is more than I'm willing to do. Let's save this as first doll. One. And save it as 2 and keep working. And I'm gonna use the sculpt mode, pose, brush. Give it some sort of creepy pose. How about that? Oh gosh, oh my. Let me turn off the topo for this. Use face sets. Where is face set? Draw face sets. There we go. Can I do that like this? Maybe I can face set from masked. Maybe that's a possibility. Let's find out. Sure I can. Very cool. Let's hide them. Oh gosh, oh my. Why does that do the opposite of what I expect? Irritating. I think if I know the features by name and how to use them, I know basic things like how the hide behaves. But I don't. That's how often I use this stuff. I just have a good memory. What is it? Control to keep going? Oh my gosh. Why is it doing that to me? Shake smooth. I don't understand this. I'll remesh it. Okay. Why do bad things happen to good people? That's what I want to know. I mean, I'm such a good person, and things like these, this has to happen to me. Not fair. I deserve better. And grow the mask. Smooth the mask. Oh gosh, oh my. There's an easier way to do this. Oh my. modifier on here? No, I don't. At least this works. And gonna be stubborn, aren't you? Okay, whatever. Finish what I'm doing here then. Gosh darn face sets. Yeah. Go. No, I actually think I need to do the individual sections of the arms and legs. Can I mirror my mask? Can I flip it? It doesn't look like it. That's not very useful. Why would I want to invert? That sucks. Stupid. Why would you set that up like that, Blender? Would you owe me better? Go. Sorry, this part is kind of boring and tedious, but it's just the way it's gotta be, unfortunately. It's setting up a rig for this character, even with an auto rigging tool, would be pretty boring and tedious. That's 3D art. Boring and tedious, except for the final result. Which may or may not turn out how you wanted it to, you know? Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Usually it's a good thing. Sometimes you're crunched by time, though, and everyone else is saying, oh, it's good enough, just move on. But you know you could have done a little bit better. I hate that feeling. I have pretty high standards for myself, I think, so I tend to feel that way a lot. Let's go ahead and increment save again. I don't want to have to do all that over again. The reason why I went through all the trouble of doing this is because face sets is a pose mode for this. Oh my gosh, why? Why do bad things happen to good people like me? Oh, I deserve better than this. There we go. Jeez. This is a creepy curse doll, so it's got like backwards feet, arms. That's how we're gonna make it cursed. I can't think of anything better. I need to move that one. And pose brush. It's actually remarkable how hard it is to come up with anything uh decent that I like feel good about in this amount of time. Because you know, like I've got a day job. I don't really have time to prepare for something like this. I don't have time to do a good job on this. I had to do dishes today and it took me an hour, right? Like I have to spend an hour doing dishes. How am I supposed to spend 3 hours sculpting? Anyways, it's looking pretty cursed. So I'm gonna finish it up by giving it cursed looking eyes. Make them bright red. Give it a gigantic evil mouth. That's a good idea. Okay with me that that looks all jaggedy and weird. You're not gonna see me complaining. It's supposed to be cursed, so it can be as janky and weird as it wants. And where is our snake hook brush? There it is. So it's a remesh tool. How neat is that? Did that actually do it or did that just set it? I think that actually did it. There we go. And this, yeah, just like a plasticky. That should be emissive. Cycles. And I need you to have a ghostly aura. Ain't nothing without a ghostly aura. Fluid domain. Fluid inflow. And you can have an adaptive domain. Save it. Let's simulate. I need more voxels. It's going to take a while to simulate, though. Sorry in advance. Now's a good time to take a sip of healthy, hydrating beverage. Cool. That looks sufficiently ghastly. Volume, principled volume. And we're going to go with volume info. And density. flame, and temperature. Make this have like a purple flame. And how's that look? Oh gosh, there's nothing there. Maybe I need to multiply that density by something. So we are going to hit that with a map range. Oh, I haven't plugged into the surface. Duh. I'm not actually all that happy with the way I posed it, but I wanted it to look creepy, and I didn't want to be here all night. We got to get better at those, you know, time management in general, right? Because one of the things I've learned about being a grown-up is time management is everything. Because you just can't do the thing. You just can't do the things you want. You know, if you're not really careful about the way you manage your time. Just me, or is it okay? Yeah. Let's say I feel like it's not shiny enough. Uh, Have any temperature? What's up with that? Okay, I'm gonna simulate you again. You are not. Doing a very good job of being fire. So do it again. This time be fire, okay? At least be scary looking. Right. Let's color ramp here. This is kind of a weird, convoluted, backwards way of doing things. But I don't really care. More like that. And rendering video while streaming, a little bit too hard on my little computer. I think that's cursed enough. It's darker and reflective. Cool. I guess I'll leave this long enough to... Oh, and you know what I should do? Wow, this is way too big. What I like to do when I'm rendering these sorts of things is a hot tip, pro tip. Don't say I never did anything for you. I like to go up, and then I like to take this edge on the inside, bevel the heck out of it. And let me bring this up a little bit more. Get it smooth. And now, got a nice uniform dark background. It'll look better if we have just our sun lamp. I think I'll leave this here long enough for it to render and look good. But I'm about done for tonight. I was hoping to have some time to work on my add-on today. But it's midnight and I have to watch the last hour of the movie I started last night. Yeah, I think that looks sufficiently cursed. That's cursed enough for me. Alright. Well, in that case, I'm essentially on track, except for the few that I missed in the beginning of the month, and the one I decided to skip because I couldn't be bothered to do it. Um, so, awesome. Well, thank you for joining me if you're still there, and, not, then I hope you're having a good night. And, thank you for joining me on Node Spaghetti Live. Hopefully I'll have some time where I don't feel like I'm, pressed against the wall, and I can work on, Python stuff, make a few new videos that are like generally interesting tutorials. I've got a lot of ideas. I think I'd really like to make a series about building an animation production from start to finish. But, obviously that'd be a lot of work. So, um, anyhow, thank you for joining me. Have a good night, everybody.